Okay. What's good? It's your girl, Miss Cash, Mama Hustle, here with Word with Mama Hustle with Guap House Magazine, sponsored by Walla Radar and Walla Cam TV and Walla Radio. Shout out to my family here. And I am here with a very exclusive interview. For those of you that are into Chicago music, our music scene basically started for my generation in the 90s with psychodrama, crucial conflict, snipers, you name it. These are the groups that I was listening to. And sometimes you luck up on different, which you would consider a legend, right? That they've been in the music scene for so long that it makes absolutely no sense, and that everybody loves them so much. And it's such a great privilege and an honor for me personally to be sitting here with no other than Kevon Smith. And if you're familiar with music, one of my favorite songs from Psychodrama, Magic, definitely would be an attribute to him personally. The sound, everything, you name it. So it's just a complete honor to have him here with me. How are you doing, Mr. Smith?
I'm good, thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. You look so cool. You're just so laid back. It's so privileged just to sit here with you. And then you have my fave, Mr. Bay. How you doing, Mr. Bay?
How are you, David?
David Mitchell Bay.
That's right.
That's right. And you also date back in this music scene way back.
Way
Way back.
Way back.
You gotta put your whispers after dark voice on.
Time.
Right. The way back.
Way back.
So a lot of the people that tune in with me are young. Granted, so they probably won't understand, what I'm saying right now. So when you think, how would you describe to them the music scene when you began to compose and stuff for Psychodrama's Magic?
Oh, it was just New Jack was really coming to be and really getting popular. Actually, it was probably at its height there.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a different time than today.
Definitely.
It's so different. The music scene's changed so much. It's unless you were born back then or around then, you just have no idea what is taking place.
Now, when we think age-wise, I'm not going to put you out. I know women are always like, oh, no, I'll never tell you how old I am. But, when you think age-wise, like, what year are we talking? When you first was into music, when you first knew music was what you wanted to do?
Oh, well, this will tell everybody how old I was, probably in the early 60s.
Okay. Now, in the 60s, Chicago still?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
Born and raised.
On
the west side.
Oh, boy. So when you think music scene, what was popping in the 60s? What were you listening to?
James Brown, Motown, that type of thing. My parents always, they had everything playing in the house. So a lot of blues also.
Okay, so when you think the music, so the music is in the house,
you're
listening, and now you're ready to create your own sound. Is a mixture of what you got going on in the house plus what you're hearing out there?
Yeah, I was influenced by just global.
Okay.
Because my parents, what they listened to, in church and yeah.
Now at that point, genre-wise, did you have a favorite?
I never had there's two types of music, good and bad.
Didn't matter who was making it. It could be country, it could be pop. It didn't matter. If it was good, it was good. So Jimi Hendrix.
Big fan. I got turned on to him there was a DJ named Ron Hardy, very famous.
Okay.
Chicago DJ. His brother Billy turned me on to Jimi Hendrix when I was in the 8th grade. And I played guitar. I wanted to be Jimi Hendrix.
Okay.
And fast forward many years later to the 90s, I ended up playing in Jimi Hendrix's band.
Oh my.
For 7 years, traveling the world with Buddy Miles.
That has to be amazing.
Yeah, I never even realized what I was doing, that I achieved that dream of I wanted to be Jimmy.
Okay, and at that age, when you were traveling at that point, how old were you then?
How old was I then?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, probably 30, something like that. 30,
Oh man,
30,
so
35, 36.
the height of your, like the
30,
middle point of your age, you're the right age to get in and get where you want to go.
Oh yeah.
Experimenting everything that your life got to offer for you. You overseas, you enjoying yourself.
Yes, indeed.
Was it a good break from what would be considered at that point racist as Chicago? Because we're thinking 60s, 70s. I know a lot of friends of mine that travel to California and overseas. Like, they explained to me, it's like you'll be on one block and an Asian will be married to a Hindu next to a Mexican, next door to a white person with two black people, and the melting pot is so crazy. And then you come here and it's like, well, you know you can't go in Bridgeport, right? And you know, you, what side of town are you from? And why is the Mexican cart too close to the black one? You know what I'm saying? It's not like that here. It's real segregated here.
Well, East Garfield Park used to, that's where I grew up.
Okay.
Was also, it was integrated back in the day, you know. There was all kinds of people, you know, races of people around back then. So I kind of grew up in an integrated world, and the segregated world I just didn't really see unless, you know, unless we marched. You know, we went to a lot of civil rights marches. My grandfather was a preacher, so I was on the front line of that as a kid.
Awesome. And then so when you think about what's molding you as a person, as the music is building up, you're figuring out what you want to do. By 30, you're already traveling. But that point between in my house and 30, is a lot going on.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then growing up black in Chicago at that point, you know what I'm saying, it doesn't really affect you until you try to step out and do other things. But definitely at some point in there is you definitely can't go certain places. Race-wise, how light you are black, how dark you are black, how much you can blend in certain places.
You have good hair or bad
hair. Exactly. You know, my grandmother told me it was a point in her high school era where there was a club called the Paper Bag Club. And technically the only qualification to be in the Paper Bag Club is you had to be lighter than a paper bag.
A brown paper bag.
A brown paper bag. Ain't that about a bitch? You know, you can be the ugly girl as long as you light in that bag, you're in.
There you go.
You know, but so it's a lot going on and it's molding you as a person. So you being able to still stay eclectic, you know, you still being able to do your own thing. The situation and the social climate is molding you. And then now you popping towards my era where now here you are again, definitely seasoned at that point, seeing the world. And then all of a sudden, here comes magic.
That was, it was, how can I put it? It was an amazing time.
Definitely.
You know? For me, you know, I stopped traveling so much the world and was kind of grounded in Chicago and living on the north side, bought a house, and David, my dear old friend and mentor,
we're gonna get to you, Mister.
Brought a man named Rick Nichols to me, and Rick Nichols managed psychodrama, and the rest of that part is history. But you know, I wasn't really on that scene that tough. You know.
But the amazing part of the influence is that even if you just dropped a bucket of sand in that culture at that time, whether you knew it or not, that sound, lifetime.
Well, it was funny because that part of the sample of that song was Boosie Collins.
Okay.
And Boosie Collins and Buddy Miles ended up playing together on a record label.
Okay.
And they stole a song of mine that I had copywritten before they put it out.
Ain't that about it?
And so I went to sue the record label. Well, the record they put out didn't make that much money, so I made a deal with them to use the sample of Boosie Collins scot-free.
Oh.
In lieu of money from the record label, which then, like I said,
which opened that door.
Yeah.
But the best part about it was the sacrifice that you gave to be able to have that sound, that they were introducing back out to a whole generation that didn't have a clue of what soulful music sound like at that point. Because I mean, there is a point in between where your music was one thing, and then an electronic phase then came, disco then came. You know what I'm saying? Other phases then in music then came. So to you to be able to fast track back, pull real sound from the 60s and otherwise, and bring it forward to the 90s, and then be like, oh, your song ain't nothing until you had this, you know, and then all of a sudden now,
that's a new flavor.
I think I'm ready to get my pimp on. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, you know, now it's a whole generation
I think I'm ready.
Man, that's praising this genre, this moment, and even now I'm friends with Nuisance, and shout out to Nuisance, my fave.
Hey,
Nuisance.
My girl, Corinne. Her music, I always tell her, like, you were the heartbeat to situations. You know, it's people that was out there in that street living them lyrics. They was riding to that beat at that moment, whether it was good or bad. You know, whether it was what they wanted to be doing or not. But still, you fueled a whole generation's anthem to go forward. It was other people that music was like, well, dang, if it sounds like this, let me mix and try some other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Whole sounds came from the contribution.
Well, I don't listen to music very much. I never, you know, when I was a kid growing up, I listened to it a lot, but as I became a musician, I stopped kind of listening and just listening to what's in my head.
Definitely.
And the funny thing is that when I did Psychodrama, while I was doing that record, Rick came with some files and said, mix this for me. And I mixed it. And I didn't, you know, I never knew who the artist was. 5 years later, this guy AK walks up to me. I'm having breakfast with my girlfriend. Walks up to me in a restaurant on the north side and said, "Are you Kevon Smith?" I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "We got a gold record plaque for you."
Oh my goodness!
And it was I didn't even know that I had mixed by Do or Die.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I didn't even know. You know,
my goodness.
because I don't listen to radio. And yeah, it was kind of, I didn't know how far magic and all these things had gone and how they were influencing.
Yeah, because even for that was definitely my age range. I was born in '77, so by the time the '90s hit, I was just a teenager by then. I was just, you know, coming of age and, you know, doing certain stuff.
I still wear.
Oh my goodness. Are they good socks? They better be good socks. I swear they better be some good socks, man. But, you know, to know that it's almost a blessing that you decided not to listen to the radio and not to hear it, because you be able to stay true to your sound. There really isn't no influence on what's going on in the music popping in your head. It's almost like when you're a clothing designer. Do you go out and wear the other clothes? No. You wear your stuff. You know what I'm saying? So for you to be able to still stay true to that and still give good music is amazing. Because a lot of people, I'm not going to say your age range, but sometimes when you're around so long and the genres change, the years change, sometimes you can see the times change in that person. So then by the time they get to that age where you're supposed to be seasoned, you look like me. And you're not supposed to look like me. You're supposed to be teaching the kids like me what I'm supposed to be sounding like, or at least giving me an opportunity to hear what's going on in your head, so that I could formulate a new sound of my own and then come out the gate, you know, fresh and with a new idea. Now there are no new ideas. We're either going to take your sound all together and not even give you credit, or we're going to come up with something that sounds so out the box stupid that commercially I won. You know, as long as it's pop, you know, this bubblegum music, as long as, you know, you won't even get a chance to hear or be able to conjure up the feelings to be the next you or something like you. And it's just amazing that, you know, you were able to still get that from you. So music-wise, do you still record?
I record as much as possible.
Oh my goodness.
And it's I find that I have to release things 10 years after I recorded, or in some instances
not at all.
20 years later, because I don't listen to radio, and it just so I hear things and 10 years later, 20 years later,
Here
but I have sitting on the shelf, I have tons of masters.
Before
hundreds,
your time.
Hundreds of masters.
Everyone's new sound is sitting on your shelf right now.
That is exactly right.
Everyone's new sound is just sitting up there just waiting for
If you
you.
want a new sound, you need to come see me.
Absolutely.
I got it.
I know you do. I know you do.
It's frustrating though. You know?
It is. And then just know that in the music scene that's my age group and beyond, that they need it.
I'm telling you. I got it.
Okay. And so when it comes to your sound, how would you describe, like now, what do you sound like now?
10 years from now.
Absolutely. Priceless, timeless kind of music. Like you're gonna fit any genre, no matter what gate you come out of. It's still gonna be ready. Almost like Prince. You know how like they just let out anything from Prince and it's ready.
We can go back 20 years with his files.
Really?
And come up with modern stuff.
Oh
Yes,
my
in the
goodness.
future.
So he was way before his time.
It's a genius.
It's crazy. So definitely catalog wise, and then now that we've caught up on Mr. Smith, Mr. Beck.
Hey.
How you doing, Mr. Beck?
Fine.
From what I hear, now besides me knowing you, now see, it's such a privilege for me personally because I knew you before you knew what I did, and I knew what you did.
Okay.
So it's like, oh my God, Mr. Beck, he's this cool cat that just roams around the building. He's like, hey, I'm Mr. Beck. You know? And then it's like, then we get a chance to talk, and I get to know you over the years. I've been about 9 years, so you've been there a long time too. And all of a sudden, it's like, my goodness, you do music, and not only do you do music, but you know all these amazing people. You've done all these amazing things. You know, I'm definitely a big psychodrama fan, and then I'm like, I'm friends with Corinne. He's like, how do you know Corinne? I'm like, no, how do you know Corinne? And it's like the past history of your music just transcends into a little bit of everything. So if you were to sum up, well, you can't even sum it up. It's just too much. What was your contribution? Almost to the point where, like, what was your main contribution when it came to that sound at that point?
Being able to meet psychodrama and to know the area that they came from, and on meeting these three excellently talented people, I was blown away. I wasn't into hip hop or rap or whatever that sort of thing, but I just watched their work ethic and their dedication to what they were doing. And the kids I actually saw them work. They're in the studio 8-10 hours, doing other things, but that just turned me on to their creativity. And along the way, I introduced Rick to Kevon, and Kevon brought psychodrama, and Rick and psychodrama together, and magic happened. It was magic. It was definitely magic.
It was definitely magic.
They changed music.
It did.
In the rap genre. They changed the music.
At that moment.
Yes.
And it was definitely a beautiful thing for like my generation because it was the fuel. If you were, no matter what your situation was at that point in time, you could put that music on, and it was the theme music for whatever you had going on. Whether you really was going out there pimping, you was finna ride down on somebody, if you was finna go out there selling something, you was finna go ride down and whoop somebody, and somebody was gonna do something. That song was playing in the background, and it was gonna be the theme, the music to get you hyped up to do this. But to know that the contribution music-wise between the both of you in this room, whether it was the composing of it, whether it was the introduction, whether it was being there to say, not this word, use that word. Use this sample, and I'm finna make sure there's a way paid for that. Like, if you didn't pave a way for the sample, there would have been no sample.
Yeah, there would have been repercussions. Definitely.
Exactly, down the line. Now, and in that instance, it probably would have been a cult classic. Because it would have made it out of there somewhere, and somebody would have heard it and recorded it and bootlegged it, and it would have been heard regardless. But for you to be able to put that extra oomph behind it for a clean, dirty, not dirty sample, and for it to just ride the airwaves and ride people's neighborhoods and steal the mixtapes, people still bootlegged it. It didn't matter. It still made its way out there for people to love and see it. So definitely, it was definitely a blessing to have you guys here in the studio with me. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
And then you have to tell me, how can they find your music now? How can they get in touch with you? How can they get in touch? Even artists too, because a lot of artists tune in to our shows and stuff, and they're looking for that next sound.
You can reach me by email.
Okay.
KevonMusic@yahoo.com. That's KEVON music.
I'm loving it. And then Mr. Bay.
David Mitchell Bay at hotmail.com.
And we need that in our lives, Chicago. If you're looking for a new sound, if you're looking for a new voice with your recordings, music that's genuinely beautiful and it's eclectic and is free of any, fuckery that you might have your music connected to, that might get you in trouble down the line after you record a beautiful song that might be able to do chart stuff, and now all of a sudden you can't even clear a sample. So get in touch with my man, Mr. Kevon Smith. Mr. Bay, it's a pleasure having you here with me. Of course, for Guap Magazine's sake, for July, we also named Kevon Smith Legend of the Month. So you're going to find a whole write-up on you there, how to find you, some music samples of people that you've worked with. We're going to dig deep and find some of your music, pictures, you name it, you're going to find it. It's definitely an honor.
I made it.
I dig you! So it's been a pleasure, you guys. I'm so glad you came here with me. You're welcome back anytime.
Oh, thank you, Asia.
And I hope you come back and see me soon, Mr. Bay.
Okay, Miss
I
Cash.
see you every day.
Yes, you do.
Oh my goodness. The things we do at the Manor. I'll never tell you people. So definitely it's been a pleasure. This is your girl, Guaphouse Magazine, Miss Mama Hustle, Aisha Cash, all those things. I'm tuning in here with Kevon Smith. And we have our Mr. Bay. Mm-hmm. And we're brought to you here by our lovely people at MacArthur's. If you are hungry and you're looking for a good meal.
Across right now.
Feed your faces, my people at MacArthur's. Tell them Walla Radio sent you. Grab a peach cobbler for me. I be hungry. This is Guaphouse Mag and Walla Radio tuning in with you guys. Sorry, but I have to go. I'm going to miss you. But we stream all the time. So streaming live on Walla Radio on Facebook. And definitely you can catch our streams of music all the time. And we're here and we're signing off and all that good stuff. So goodbye. Walla Radio.
Good. That was good, kid. Did
you like it?
You're good.
Am I okay?
You're good.
I thought I'd be scared.
You're a professional.
Oh my goodness.
Good. You're fabulous. See, I told you about that shit.
I know. You be like, I should just do it. You know, but a lot of times I be stressed. You be like, do your job, girl. I'm like, man, I'm scared. I don't think the people will date me. But I'm glad you guys are here with me.
My baby changed for us every 2 weeks, you think. I get up in the morning after I smoke the woke. I go down and see Aisha.
That's right. You know who you
So
know
what's
what?
up?